Hello, everyone, and welcome to Old Ass Movie Reviews. I'm Dave. That's Scott. We are going to review the Three Amigos today. I love this movie. Personally love this movie.
So,
We'll start with you, Scott, because I introduced. What, and I can already tell. What do you
sorry.
think? Like,
Yeah. Here's the thing. I have very mixed reviews about the Three Amigos. Yeah. So I border on blasphemy and everything on this. So anyway,
no, I get it.
what?
I get it.
Okay. So
Yeah.
this movie, when I originally saw it, I really loved it. And I was expecting to have that same type of joy when I watched
Uh-huh.
it this time. And I think I texted you. I was really sick. And I was like, okay, maybe it's just my head. It hurts
Yeah.
so bad. It's
Yeah.
the jokes are not hitting for me. So I watched it. Damn, it took me 2 days to watch this movie.
Oh, geez.
Um, Here's the thing. It's got some really funny bits in it. Some really
Yeah.
classic bits, but I felt like I was watching, and I meant to look it up, but there's a Three Stooges episode which is almost identical to this plot. And it's like
They go out west.
what it felt like to me was a really funny Saturday Night Live skit that went on way too long. I mean, I'm just going to get my favorite line out of the movie is Chevy Chase is talking to this beautiful woman or whatever. She's like, "You can kiss me on the veranda," and he's like, "Well, the lips are just fine." And
Yeah.
it's just so matter of fact, perfect Chevy Chase.
The
You know,
delivery is perfect.
so let's back it up a bit here, folks, before we go on about this. But what we have is some silent movie stars from the 20s or
Mhm.
earlier. Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Chevy Chase as the Three Amigos. Some
They're a
heroes of
team.
the
Yeah, they're a
West.
team of cowboy heroes.
Yes. And so they do these silent movies and everything. And in the vein of movies like Galaxy Quest, they are hired to save a village because the people are not smart enough to realize that they're just movie stars and not really
Yeah,
heroes. And so you can see what happens. It's the typical setup. They're not prepared. They're cowardly. They run away. But in the end, they
yeah.
come and save the day. And it's funny. There are some funny moments. It's just yeah. It just seemed like it went a bit long for me.
My favorite movie or moment of the movie that because they get fired, the town sends the Three Amigos a telegram. They get the telegram. They misunderstand the telegram.
Because she didn't have enough money to
And she
send
didn't
up
have the girl didn't have enough money to make the telegram make sense. So they're reading the telegram thinking they're just going to
to
this
do a
little town
show.
in Mexico to put on a show,
Yeah.
like literally a show. But when they get there, they find out otherwise. Now they have to break in back into the studio that they were just fired from that day. So Steve Martin gets up on top of this wall and he's going to open up the gates or whatever for the other two, and he's trying to get their attention. And he's making bird sounds and he's caw caw, and that seemed to me the first time I saw it, I
I
was
forgot.
literally crying and laughing so hard I couldn't breathe.
I'll
That
give you that one,
film
man.
is worth the
Yes,
admission to watch this.
definitely.
These guys are all so dumb. There's not a smart guy in the entire bunch.
No,
But the fact that they actually get to they even make it to Mexico on their own
I know,
without
right?
somebody driving them is funny. But the bar scene, there's like this thugs in the bar, all
Yeah.
the banditos, the Mexican banditos, and it's if you like dumb humor, if you like old Saturday Night Live, like back in the 80s, Saturday Night Live,
Hmm.
70s and 80s, when they were funny, you'll probably really like the Three Amigos. If you like Steve Martin and Martin Short and Chevy Chase when they were
Yeah.
at what I would think that period of time was at their best, and you had three of the funniest guys in Hollywood all in one movie, and it's a really good script that's just so damn funny.
Yeah.
Then they have to go. The singing bush scene.
That's a great scene. The
It
bush
just
is annoying as fuck, though. I'm going to
oh
say
yeah,
this. I was
Yeah.
like, I'd have burned that bush down. But so they find the singing
Yeah.
bush, and they have to summon the invisible swordsman and fire in the air while Chevy fires over his shoulder and kills the
Yeah.
invisible swordsman.
You killed the invisible swordsman. Uh, but it's just stupid, ridiculous shit like that that makes this movie so
Through
funny.
that.
But here's, to me, you could remake this movie,
Mm-hmm.
not as a comedy, because with a very subtle juxtaposition, this could be a good cowboy western. You
Absolutely
could
good.
do a movie where three silent stars are just so dejected that they get a telegram from some town and they're all just so out of it. Like maybe you could have one be a drunk or something. This is just fan fiction in my
So
head.
here we go with the Three Samurai.
Yeah, basically, where you have just these three guys with nothing to lose. They've lost everything already, and they're like, "Screw it, we'll let's go to Mexico." It's only 1902 at this point, or whatever time
Yeah, it was
period
very
it was,
early. Yeah.
very early in the movie making industry. We'll just go off to Mexico and be heroes.
Yeah,
You could do that because I remember thinking that the first time I saw this movie was like, yeah,
I never thought of that. Yeah.
this could be a real cowboy movie. And I
It,
wonder how it actually happened. Was it always a comedy, or was it somebody came up with a cowboy movie and somebody else looked at it and went, we can twist this into a comedy. I
yeah.
wonder, I'd love to talk to the writers about that. Like, was it always meant to be a comedy? Was it always a vehicle for Chevy Chase and Steve Martin? And,
I bet it was. What I'm curious about is it seemed there was a lot of stuff that may have been unscripted in here. Given
yeah,
those three guys and their
yeah.
abilities, I bet there is a ton of unscripted content in this movie.
I'd almost be willing to bet on it,
Yeah.
especially with Martin Short sitting with the little kids on the stairwell when he's talking about the old actress when he's
Yeah.
talking. The German soldier, the German pilot. There's a German pilot that is a huge fan of the character Martin Short plays. That was what was the
Oh,
kid's name?
little Ned Needlelander or whatever.
Little Ned
The
Needlemeyer.
fastest needle, yeah, the fastest gun or whatever. Yeah.
And the German guy loved watching his movies when he was a kid, and now Ned Needlemeyer is all grown up. And he's like, then I found out the German guy's saying he found out about movie tricks and nobody can be that fast.
And he's
And
like,
Ned
I am.
Needlemeyer's like, I am that fast.
Yeah.
He's almost insulted. Like, no,
Yeah.
I really am that quick of a draw. And they have to have a quick draw
Yeah.
contest. And it's just, even that scene is funny as hell.
But give him that gun that weighs more than him.
Yeah, he puts the gun in his hip and he almost falls over. I mean, all of that just worked. But when I watch this now, and I was thinking about how could you make this into a regular cowboy movie?
It's already
It's
there,
simple.
dude.
It would be
Yeah.
so simple to do.
It would.
And you could still keep some of the humor in it because I think even for a cowboy movie, you have to have a little
Yeah.
bit of humor.
This has more slapstick,
Yeah.
more. It at times it feels like the Three Stooges, and that's not
Yeah,
a bad thing.
definitely.
It's not a bad thing,
Definitely.
and because it really reminded me of an episode. I swear this happened to the Stooges.
There was a couple of cowboy movies where they went out west,
Yeah.
where the Three Stooges went out west, and
Yeah,
they
maybe that's what I'm thinking of
cowboys.
because it just
Yeah,
never ends well.
There's quite a few of those. And then they got to try and pick up they're trying to help some barmaid or
Right?
whatever.
Yeah.
It's always somebody's landowner.
Yeah. It's
You know
always
what?
the Dukes of Hazzard, man. It's always the Dukes of Hazzard.
The terror of Tiny Dukes of Hazzard.
The Terror of Tiny Town. There
The
you
terror
go.
of Tiny Town needed writers as good as these guys were, because then it would have been hysterical.
Yeah. Well, hey, folks, go back and take a look and see if you can find our early episode on the Terror of Tiny Town. It is an all midget Western.
Yep.
And it's entertaining.
It actually has its good moments, especially when the one woman in it gets her vengeance.
Yes.
She gets her vengeance good too,
It's
man.
good too.
There ain't no joke about her.
Yeah.
You don't want to mess with that little woman.
Honestly, I think our biggest complaint of that movie was the sets.
Yeah,
Tiny
Yeah.
Town would have been tiny, not built for normal people.
exactly. And that, I know
It
why
just
they
really
did it.
struck me odd.
I know why they did it, but nothing fit. Like, what
Yeah.
if you're tiny people? You're gonna have a tiny town.
You're not going to build the normal size stuff. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it didn't make sense. But anyway,
Yeah.
Back to Three Amigos. I do have a few
Let's hear
notes.
them.
Just the breaking into the studio, I still think is
Yeah, I
absolutely
forgot about that.
hysterical.
So funny because they
Um,
just were not listening.
and I still think whenever Martin Short's on the thing and he's telling the Dorothy Gish story, there's Dorothy Gish, and she told me you have got it. And the kids don't understand a word he's saying because they're all little Mexican kids
Yeah, they
back
don't
in
even speak English. And
1920,
here's Martin Short.
1918. None of them speak English, and he's telling them a story, and they're all looking really intent at him, like, "Oh yeah." And then he finishes, and they all look at each other like, "Anybody understand any of that?"
No.
um, when Lucky is shot, there's a scene where the three amigos are riding around these the banditos,
El
and
Guapo.
they're shooting their guns up in the air and they're running around, and El Guapo is sitting there watching me. He was like, I like these guys, they're funny,
Yeah.
just kill one of them.
Yeah.
And his sidekick pulls out the gun and just shoots one, and not Martin Short, but Steve Martin just takes a bullet and falls off the horse.
Yeah.
He's only been winged by a bullet. He's only barely been grazed by a bullet, but he's like, oh my God, like I was shot. And he walks over and he still thinks they're all actors. And he starts giving the guy hell, like, oh, this is a real bullet,
Yeah.
That's what I thought. And he just starts patting the guy, and then he realizes, you can see the realization coming on his face.
Yeah.
That was probably the best bit of acting in that movie, as far as like emoting, like you really see it, like
Yeah.
something happening in these guys' eyes, is when Steve Martin realizes him and his two friends are about to die.
Yeah.
When he realizes, this isn't an act. We're not here to pretend. These guys are gonna kill us.
Oh man,
that's a great scene for me. The when he tells everybody, him and Lucky, mount up. We're gonna go save the town. Mount up, and they're all just standing there looking at him. They're looking around. Does hey, that means get on your horses. We're gonna go riding. Oh, okay. The guys are just dumb as stuff. They did all these cowboy movies and they knew none of the lingo. They knew nothing how to do anything. The singing bush we talked about, and that last duel with Ned Needlemeyer was absolutely hysterical. When he says, "You don't want to die with a little sissy gun. You want to die with a man's gun." And this gun,
it's huge.
It's the biggest. It's a cannon, and they put it on his little Martin Short's hip, and he falls over. He can barely pull the gun out. It's just such a funny scene for me because, again, I'm just cracking up watching it. I can watch that movie and I will laugh every time at every scene when they're riding through the desert.
Mm-hmm.
And they're out of water.
Oh God.
And then Chevy Chase is just like, he like gargles, spits, and he starts putting lip balm on.
He just looks over at him. Lip balm?
Like, lip balm? It's just so stupid. It's just so stupid. I have a friend named Dave that can do that little bit. And every time he and I are together and he does that, we'll be doing something. Could be anything could be going on. And he could start putting lip balm on or something. He'll look over at me and he'll be like, lip balm? And he just does it. He's got the Chevy Chase look.
Oh, that's perfect, dude.
The dumb blank look. And he nails it every time. And every time, no matter what, the world could be burning. And if we were in the middle of a war with demons and he pulled that, I would just start laughing.
No, that's funny. That is funny. Damn.
But that's me. That's what I think about the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is a very 80s movie. I do believe it was it's a Lorne Michaels movie. So it is a Saturday Night Live movie, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what it feels like. Because these are the actors and the cast of Saturday Night Live at the time. Brilliant guys, always funny.
All friends of Lorne Michaels.
Yeah. It's solid. It really is. For whatever reason, it just doesn't do it for me. But it's a solid movie.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
No, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I just it's not my cup of tea. That's all right.
I'm kidding. No, well, you and I have always talked about stuff like this. Like, not every movie you like, I like, and
Yeah.
every movie I like, you like. Just did I
It,
already say that? Did I say that twice the same way? I
he
may have.
did. So did it cancel itself? Or does it become a double negative? It
Does
turns
it
it
go in
positive.
circles? Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, we don't always agree on everything. I
No.
mean, there's some movies that you're just not going to like. And folks, feel free if you love the movie, let us know. If you don't
Yeah.
like the movie, let us know. I'm a fan of old Steve Martin.
Oh God, yeah.
I think we need to do The Jerk. The Man with Two Brains would be a good one. I haven't seen that one in many
It's
years.
been a while.
My
The Jerk
probably
is a classic.
probably my personal favorite Steve Martin movie is The Man Who Wore or yeah, The Man Who Wore Plaid. Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen that.
Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid is by far, in my opinion, the best Steve Martin movie ever made.
Well, and I want to let our listeners know when Dave and I were growing up, Steve Martin was a big commodity. Everybody, I swear, everybody I knew had his LP, his comedy stand-up. Yes, and it was great. It's great. I can still quote stuff from that album. It's so good.
The King Tut song. I can sing along with that. If I ever hear the King Tut song, I can still sing along with it.
So I
haven't heard it.
I love Steve Martin. And that's one of my favorite Steve Martin's movies is Leap of Faith, and it's not a super funny movie. It's about a mega church.
The evangelist, right?
Yes, yeah, they're scamming people.
Yeah.
But
I haven't seen that.
It's got a good. It's a good movie.
Yeah, okay. I haven't seen that in a long time, man. Yeah. I forgot about that movie.
That's a good one.
He did one called Pennies from Heaven, too.
Yes.
The remake of the original Pennies from Heaven movie, I think.
Yeah.
That I think was a silent film, if memory serves.
I'm not sure.
But I've never seen it. I've never seen that one.
I have not either.
Revisit some Steve Martin movies because
we really should.
He's very talented. I think he's underrated. Too many people just think he's just funny man, and I think he's underrated.
He's a genius. He's also an accomplished musician. One of the things that
a banjo.
Yeah, people have told me to watch, and I haven't checked it out yet. Is I guess on Hulu, they're now on their second season of Only Murders in the Building, which is Steve Martin and Martin Short. I'll have to get around to watching. Those two guys are good together. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to recommend to folks, if you like 80s comedy, especially from the Saturday Night Live crew of Steve Martin, Martin Short, Chevy Chase, you can't go wrong with this movie. It may or may not be your cup of tea, but it's solid.
Yeah. You know? Yeah, it's funny. It's going to have something in it is going to make you laugh.
Yeah, dude, I laughed. I'd lie if I said I didn't laugh throughout the whole thing. It's still just never. And again, it could have been.
No, I get it.
Sick.
We've watched movies where I've watched them and I'm like, I like it, but I don't. It's not my thing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And I get it. That makes sense.
Yeah, cool. So, what are your final thoughts on?
It's not going to close. No, I like it. I love the movie. I think it's great. Watch it, folks. Watch it.
So, hey, folks, I'd like to thank you again for joining us. And as we've been going on for 130 something episodes. So please continue to hit like, hit subscribe, hit the share. Thank you to all our new listeners. And thanks to those who have dropped in suggestions for us to continue on. So catch us next week when we rip something out of the old ass vault. That didn't sound right. But anyway. We're going to pull something out of our asphalt. What? Anyway, hey, thanks again, and we'll catch you next week. Later.
Good one, folks.